Hello everyone, welcome to StudyIQ. So we will continue our discussion on economy. We are in the module agriculture. So far we have completed 3 sessions. In the first session we have talked about agricultural subsidies. We have discussed the different types of subsidies and the impact and all those things we have covered in the first session. And in the second session we have talked about the agricultural price policy, where we have discussed about what is MSP, what is procurement price, what are the differences, and all those things we have covered. Okay, and then in the third session we have talked about agricultural marketing, and we have also discussed about the model APMC Act, and all those areas we have covered. So in this session we are going to talk about buffer stocks. Okay, and after that we will also talk about PDS, and if time permits I'll also discuss about National Food Security Act, and I'll go through food security also. So all these topics are there in your main syllabus, so we are covering that topics separately. Okay, so all these topics we are covering separately. Agricultural price policy we have done, subsidies we have done, marketing we have done. Here buffer stock, PDS, food security, that areas will be covered. Okay, so let's get started with this session, buffer stocks. Now see, buffer stocks are actually maintained since fourth 5-year plan. So if you go back to our discussion on the planning chapter, we have done around 5-6 sessions. So in that sessions also I've already told you about this. From fourth 5-year plan onwards, buffer stock. Okay, so 1969 onwards, right? We have seen that acute food shortage during the third 5-year plan because of famine and many other reasons. War was also there, but more than war, famine was one of the most important reason, and food security wasn't the biggest problem at that time. So food was not available. US also stopped exporting or giving food to us. Okay, so under PL 480 scheme we were importing food from US, but we were not getting the food from US at that time. So then we went for green revolution, and since fourth 5-year plan we are maintaining buffer stock. Okay, so basically buffer stocks are maintained to ensure food security. So who's maintaining this? Food Corporation of India. Okay, under which ministry? Under Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. Okay, so under Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution. So what are the objectives? Objectives, as I have told you, the main objective is to ensure food security. Okay, so food security. So if you remember in the planning chapter itself, I have told you third 5-year plan we have suffered a lot because of food security issues. Food was not there, not available. Even we didn't have forex also to import food. Okay, and then we went for annual plans, and then we have so from 67, 68, 69, 3 years there were no planning, right? Then it was annual plans because of this issue, and then we went for green revolution, and we have achieved food surplus after that. So food security, then price stabilization. So how prices are stabilized? If something is something shortage in the market, automatically when the supply is less, the prices will shoot up, so the government will supply it in the market. Okay, so in case of shortage, government will sell it. In case of excess, in case of bumper production, government will buy it and keep it as buffer stock. Okay, so price stabilization, how price stabilization is done? It all depends on demand and supply in the market. So if supply is more, government will purchase the food grains. If supply is less, government will sell it. Okay, so under price stabilization there are many things which can be done. So FCI will do this, buying and selling. Apart from that, you can go for import, export. I have told you when we discussed about NAFED. Okay, importing, exporting, buying, selling. Through all these ways you can actually manage the price stabilization. Okay, then next, so price stabilization, that is also important objective, price stabilization. And also to operationalize PDS, public distribution system, and other welfare schemes like Food Security Act, etc. So to operationalize PDS and other welfare schemes. Okay, now we will be also talking about the buffer stock norms. What are the buffer stock norms? So what is the range? What all things will be there in the buffer stock? Wheat and rice mainly. Buffer stock of pulses was also created in 2000 or 2016, 2-ton pulses was created for as buffer stock, but it depends on the volatility. It was actually created under price stabilization scheme. So in 2015 it was onion and potato. Okay, so here in 2016 for pulses also buffer stock was introduced of 2-ton, but here I'm talking about wheat and rice, and it ranged from 21 to 41 metric ton. So range from 21 to 41 metric ton. I'll tell you what are the buffer stock norms, how much you need to maintain, etc. So if you see first Jan, it is 21.41 metric ton. Okay, and then 1st April 20.04 metric ton, and 1st July 41.12 MT, 1st October 30.77 MT. So this is the buffer stock norm. As based on this only you have to maintain or manage buffer stock. Now who is fixing this? Buffer stock norms are actually fixed by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. When we discussed about MSP, I have told you MSP is also fixed by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs on the recommendation of CACP, Committee on Agricultural Cost and Prices. Okay, so Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs headed by Prime Minister fixes the MSP as well as this buffer stock norms, and it will be revised every 5 years. Last it was revised in 2015. Okay, so usually it will be revised after every 5 years. So last it was revised in 2015, and I have also told you this one. So in 2016 a buffer stock of 2 metric ton pulses was created under price stabilization scheme. So we have discussed price stabilization scheme in the session agricultural prices, where we discussed about MSP, okay, and procurement price, etc. So if you haven't watched that video, you can watch there. All these videos are available in the Telegram channel. You can join the Telegram channel, you'll get it. If you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me in this Instagram ID. So here this is the buffer stock norms. Now it depends on which factors. Firstly, it depends on production, harvest. Okay, then it also depends on requirement. In different regions the requirement will be different. Okay, and different regions production will, different crops, between crops production will be different. Basically you can see one is a rabi crop, one is a kharif crop. So depends on season also, this quantity will vary. The ratio between this will be varying based on the season. So this for 30.77, in that how much wheat should be there, how much rice should be there, that ratio will be decided on the basis of, that will vary on the basis of season. Okay, so we have seen one kharif crop and one rabi crop, so that is also taken into consideration. Now the current ratio is actually wheat 45% and rice balance, that is 55%. Around 1/3 of the total output is actually procured by FCI. Okay, so 1/3 of wheat and rice is actually 1/3 of the output is actually procured by FCI. Now what are the issues? Let's look into the issues. So first is actually excessive stocking, right? I've told you 1/3 is actually procured by FCI, which is beyond these buffer stock norms. The buffer stock norms are like this much only, for maximum is 40. But if you see, if you have a food grain production of, let's say, 250 million ton, etc. So the procurement is so high that is beyond the buffer stock norm, and the excessive stocking lead to wastages. Okay, this is a big problem. So let me write here, excessive stocking. Okay, so basically more than twice of the buffer stock norms. For the last 5 years, it was consistently more than twice of the buffer stock norms which is actually fixed by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. Second, limited storage facility, that we have already discussed in the previous chapter. So the same problem, limited storage facility. So that lead to what? Wastages. Then mishandling and corruption. Okay, mishandling. So if you mishandle this, and if see, this is actually used for alcohol production also, because a rotten grain, if the grain is rotten through mishandling, okay, then it can be used for alcohol production. So corruption is involved over there. So purposely this is actually happening. This mishandling is happening purposely because they want the food grain to be rotten. Then it can be diverted for, alcohol production. So liquor production. Okay, mishandling and corruption. Now, do you think you need to have excess buffer stock during this time? No, actually, see, when it was introduced in the fourth 5-year plan, we didn't had enough forex. In case of food scarcity, in case of shortage of food, we were not even able to import food. But now the situation is entirely different. Our forex situation is much better. So in a worst case scenario, you can actually import. There is no need to, store excess food grains beyond the buffer stock norms, and that simply lead to wastages. So rather than wasting these items, you can keep only the food grains which is as per the norms. So beyond that, in a worse situation, actually you will be in a position to import now. Now your forex situation is strong. So I don't think, or at this particular time, at this situation where the forex is strong, you just need to manage the buffer stock norms. In case of worse situation, you can actually import. There is no problem. So relevance of actually storing or keeping this excessive buffer stock is not required. There is no relevance for keeping this excessive buffer stock at this situation where you are in a better situation when it comes to the forex. Okay, so your balance of payment situation is okay. That is good, strong, comparatively strong, and you have enough forex. In a worse situation, you can import. So there is no relevance in holding excess buffer stocks, okay, beyond the norms. So I would write here we have no relevance for holding excess food grain or excess stock that lead to wastage. So in this situation where you have better forex, okay, so you have a better forex, so you can import. There is no problem. No point in holding this much food grain also as a buffer stock. Nowadays trade policy is also cost effective. It was not like before. So you have a better and cost effective trade policy. So trade policy is better. So you can import. At the same time, now you have price stabilization measures. So you can have better price stabilization measures. I've already discussed about this. FCI, NAFED, etc. They can manage the prices by selling, buying, importing and exporting. So you can use that provision of importing and exporting to manage the price, right? So better price stabilization mechanism is there. So there is no need to hold or have excess buffer stock. If the question is about do you need to have buffer stock, obviously you need, because it affects food security. But do you need to have excess buffer stock? That's not required. It lead to wastages since we don't have enough storage facility. If you have better warehousing, better cold storages, then excess food grain you can store, no problem. Okay. We will quickly discuss about Shantakumar committee recommendation on stocking and movement of grains. Okay. So Shantakumar committee recommendations. So first recommendation is FCI should outsource its stocking operations. I've told you already, stocking is the main problem. So outsource the stocking operation to center and state warehousing corporations, to center and state warehousing corporation, and also to private warehouses This is basically to prevent the wastages. Okay. Secondly, see, the most important problem is the covered and plinth storage facility, or the storage that you are following just under a tarpaulin, right? So this covered and plinth storage should be phased out. And no grain should be stored under covered and plinth for more than 3 months. Okay, so covered and plinth storage should be phased out, and no grain should be under CAP. No grain should be stored under CAP beyond 3 months. See, actually why I'm writing here is because these recommendations you can write in your mains answer. These are the suggestions, okay, with respect to this maintaining the stocking and movement of food grains. Exactly the same you can write, okay, so that will fetch you marks. Third one, silo bag, that is a conventional storage, should replace the covered and plinth, okay. Then next point, the storage and the movement of grains should be automated and containerized. So stocking or storage and movement of grain should be automated and containerized, okay. So storage sacks have to be ears for holding. Storage sacks should have ears for holding. See why this is because when you have this ears for holding like this, it helps not to waste the food grain. Otherwise when they unload and load, that lead to wastage of food grain, because they may use something to hold, so there may be holes which will come in the sacks, so that lead to wastage of food grain. So if you have ears to hold that in the sacks itself, then you can avoid putting that hole, and then there won't be any wastage, okay. Then FCI should sell if you have excess food grain in the open market operation or open market sale schemes. So FCI should dispose excess stock, that means over the buffer stock norms, above the buffer stock norms, excess stocks through open market sales scheme or export, okay. So these are the Shantakumar committee recommendation. Have an idea so that you can write in your answer if you get a question related to FCI or stocking, buffer stock, movement of food grain, etc. Next we'll look into PDS, so public distribution system, that is PDS, okay. So what is this public distribution system? It refers to distribution of food grains. So it basically refers to distribution of food grains or essential commodities by the government to public through the fair price shops, okay. So distribution of food grains by government to public at subsidized price, not at market price, at subsidized price through the ration shops or the fair price shops, FPS, fair price shops. So what is public distribution system? It refers to distribution of food grains by the government to the public at a subsidized price through fair price shops, FPS, that is a ration shops. Now who is operating this? FCI operating this. FCI is operating this on behalf of government. So FCI on behalf of government operate this. You can write in proper sentence. So it is responsible for, FCI is responsible for procurement, storage and transportation, okay. Distribution, that is done by PDS. So it is responsible for, FCI is responsible for procurement. So procurement is done either under MSP if you are getting under MSP, or separately procurement price. That we have already discussed. Procurement, storage, the problems related to storage we have just now discussed, that is a buffer stock, and then transportation, okay. So storage and transportation related is what we have discussed, the Shantakumar committee. So FCI is responsible for this. And who is responsible for distribution? The state government is responsible for distribution through the fair price shops, okay. So responsible for distribution, that is the state government through fair price shops. Now, so this FCI will sell food grains to state government under which price or at what price? It was sold at central issue price. Central issue price. Okay, so and state government will sell or give to public under which price? Issue price. Now what is the difference between central issue price and issue price? See, the issue price can never be more than central issue price. Issue price is never more than central issue price, but the issue price can be less than central issue price in case if state government are also giving additional subsidy. For example, Tamil Nadu is giving additional subsidy. So either issue price can be equal to central issue price. Whatever you are getting from FCI, at that price you can sell directly to the public, or you can also give, the state government can also give some subsidy upon the subsidy which is given by the central government or on the central issue price, and then the price of issue price, then the issue price will be lesser than the central issue price. Okay, in 1997 this PDS was restructured into targeted PDS. PDS was restructured into TPDS, and the population is divided into two categories: APL, above poverty line, and BPL. Okay, so population is divided into APL and BPL. Now what is the issue price? Issue price for APL, issue price means at what price the state government is selling to the public. Okay, so issue price for APL and BPL, will see APL, it is economic cost of FCI. Last year this was actually asked as a prelims question. In 2019 prelims, you can see what you mean by economic cost. Economic cost of FCI include, procurement price, storage, transportation. So all those cost is actually part of economic cost of FCI. Now BPL will be getting under half of economic cost of FCI. Okay, now here what happened is this, I've told you FCI, this because of inefficiencies, because of corruption, etc., the economic cost of FCI was even higher than the market price. So when you are selling at economic cost for APL category where market price is lesser than the economic cost of FCI, do you think that APL people will buy? No, APL people will buy from the market. That is better for them. You'll get the better food grain as well as better price also you'll get from the market, because now APL price is actually, that economic cost is actually more than the market price. So APL started, stopped buying from the fair price shops, and later the prices actually reduced. Now in 2000, one more group was also created. In 2000, third division, that is Antyodaya Households. Antyodaya Anyojana was introduced, right? Antyodaya Households. So under the scheme, the poorest of the poor, 1 crore household, now it is 2.5 households, poorest of poor, 1 crore households will be provided food grains at a very highly subsidized rate, like coarse grain 1 per kg, wheat 2 per kg, rice 3 per kg. Okay, so now this 1 crore is actually increased to 2.5 crore. Now 2.5 crore is actually getting the benefit. Some changes are there in National Food Security Act. We'll be discussing that shortly. So what is the allocation? Allocation initially was 10 kilogram. Okay, and it was later increased to 20 kilogram. Now currently it is 35 kilogram per household. So 35 kilogram per household. So the ratio varies between rice and wheat in different states. Okay, so rice, wheat, that ratio will vary between states, so that is not important. So currently 35 kilogram per household. What are the issues in PDS? Quickly we will look into the issues. Firstly, leakages. Okay, by government officials, quota holders, okay, the holders, the owners of this FPS shops, corruption, black marketing, all these are the issues. Shantakumar committee said that there are 40% wastage or leakage. I should not use wastage, leakage here. Okay, so leakages. TCS also conducted a study, and as per their study, TCS says 30% wastage or leakage is what they have estimated. Not important, you can quote the Shantakumar committee recommendation or study. Poor quality of grain. Poor quality of grain. Why it is actually happening? It is because of adulteration. See, one thing that you need to understand is government is getting the food grain under MSP or procurement price. When the government is getting the fresh or the best quality of the food grain, then where is it going and what is actually happening when it comes to the fair price shops? Nobody knows that, right? It is all because of adulteration. Otherwise, you are supposed to get the best quality of the food grains from FPS, because the government is getting the food grains for the first time when you are procuring under MSP. So government have to get the best quality food grain. So government have to serve that. So FPS, you should be getting the better quality food grain. But where is it going? Nobody knows. Only God knows, right? So because why adulteration mainly or black marketing? Okay. Late and irregular arrivals. Late and irregular arrivals of grains, regional disparities in distribution, regional disparities in distribution. See, as per a study in 1995, okay, the south states like Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu accounted for 40% offtake. Okay, and Bimaru states offtake was just 10%. So regional disparity is heavy. Then urban bias in the initial phase, limited benefit to the poor, especially migrant workers. Now that problem is going to be solved because of portability. Okay, so limited benefit, poor, especially migrant workers and people who don't have proper address. Now, one more point which I want to tell you is it actually increased food prices. Why? Because when FCA is procuring too much of food, supply in the market is less. When the supply in the market is less, automatically prices gone up in the market. And FCA food grain is actually used for this purpose. At the same time, it is going as wastage also. So in the market, food supply is low and the prices in the market is high. Okay. So open market, the price is so high. Then next problem, inefficiency in operation of FCI. I've already told you economic cost of FCI sometimes is more than the market price. Okay, and when you're selling at economic cost of FCI, nobody was ready to buy it. So these are the problems with respect to PDS. Now we'll discuss some PDS reforms. So firstly, use of information communication technology. Okay, so ICT and end-to-end computerization. End-to-end computerization, so that can solve the problem of corruption, mishandling, etc. Okay, then leverage Aadhaar for unique identification of beneficiaries. So use Aadhaar for identification of beneficiaries. Biometrically authenticated physical update. Okay, so biometrically authenticated physical update, BAPO. Okay, then diversification of commodities under TPDS, diversification of commodities, that could be another reform under TPDS. Under TPDS, provision of doorstep delivery of grains, provision of doorstep delivery of food grains. Okay, so that should be the responsibility of the quota holder to deliver the food grain to the public. Full transparency of records, full. That means the beneficiaries list should be displayed or given online. That information should be given online. So full transparency of records. So list of beneficiaries should be available online, made available online. Vigilance committee Vigilance Committee to check pilferage. Then decentralization of procurement. Decentralization of procurement. Okay. So that's about the session. So if you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me here. This is my Instagram ID, and join the Telegram channel for all the videos. See, National Food Security Act and food security I'll discuss in the next session. In the next session, I'll also talk about e-technology, which is also a topic in your syllabus. So agricultural, all the topics will be covered. I think I take 3 more sessions. Next will be e-technology and food security. Then in the next session, we will talk about I think agricultural insurance, and green revolution will do. Land reforms we have already done. So with that we can complete the session. So see you guys. Thank you. If you have any doubt, you can get in touch with me here.